it's me, Dan. Welcome to my shop. I have my nice little bandsaw here, and I got some nice blades that should give me nice fine cuts as opposed to what the factory blade does. So I'm going to try swapping it out. My first time touching anything, actually, on this in regards to the blade. So I thought, you know what? Let's video it, see what we got here. All right. I know. My back is to the camera. Cope, all right, is what I'm going to say right now. Just cope. I'm going to put this one up as a shop time, not a shop talk. We're stuck with a fixed. Oh, we got to take this off first. We're stuck with a fixed location for the camera for right now because there's 4 of these. Because my tripod is not in the immediate vicinity. So here we are. All right, so you got to take that off. That makes sense now. I was wondering why they had these like wing nuts holding that on. And that explains a lot because you need to actually take that off. Let me make sure this is actually going in the correct direction here. I'm going to bring it into the light. Yep, that's the direction that goes. I didn't spend a lot of money on these blades. I mean, they weren't super cheap, but they weren't super expensive. So I'm not expecting the world from them. But, oh, more dust in there. Vacuum. You know, even with the dust collection, it's still not as messy as my old one, but it's still, bandsaws are just messy, I think, is the lesson to take away here. Yes, I know you're seeing my back right now. Whatever. It's a shop time, not a shop talk. So we're just being kind of casual with it here. And I will keep rambling on. Oh dear, this is a little bit fiddly. The other one was actually easier just to get the blade on than this. This is with the guide spaces. This is kind of fiddly. Fiddly. Fragile. Must be Italian. Oh, this is awkward. Let's take some of that slack out. That'll help. I want to make it tight. Pull some of that slack a little bit. Up on the tire. There we go. Up on the tire you go. Aren't you going up on the tire? There's just not a lot of space to get your, wow, for me to get my fat ass fingers in here. Well, I wonder if it's right position on those bearings. That upper and lower guide bearings. There we go. That's in those guide bearings. Which probably will need to be adjusted. That is not even remotely where it needs to be. Oh, there we okay. It is definitely not where it needs to be. Something is rubbing. Oh, I wish I could see in there more clearly. I got to put the backlight on. Myself some more light in here. This up a little bit. Okay. All right, it's on the tire. And we're rubbing here. So these bearings, I think we just loosen them with these lock knobs. Well, we just loosen them with this lock knob. Almost set. No. Wow, that's on there tight. Here's hoping I don't break something. There we go. This should, yeah. So this gives us front to back motion. That's the upper. There's our lowers. Yeah, so the lowers are also going to need to go back, or I'm going to have to. Oh, okay. There's an Allen key in there. Here, I can bring you over for this. Hopefully you can see that. Right here, you see my finger? I don't know. Right here, there's an Allen key, and I think when I loosen that, yeah, and there's one on this side, it looks like the whole thing will be able to shift. We're going to try that now. And I know I set the Allens. Came with this over here. I don't remember off the top of my head which is which. Allens are hex keys, I guess you can call them. That is just packed full of sawdust. There you go. And it definitely looks like this big one, or the size down from the big one. Of course, that doesn't want to move at all. And of course, the numbering on there is not even remotely legible. I'm going to assume it's metric. Might want to get myself some T-handled X's for this. All right, that's not moving yet, so I'm assuming I need to loosen that one as well. I probably, I probably could just read the instructions. Would probably also get me there. Okay, that one's not as tight as that first one was. Still not moving. What about this? That one's tight. Go down a size. No, that's got it loose. Sure. This. Well, why the hell does that pivot? That's no good. That's a pivoting alignment. It's the other ones underneath there. Well, I am doing something wrong here. That's a right-left pivot. Because if we see, the thing is, so the one bolt is allowing the heads to move like that, but that can't be right. Come here. You see what's going on here? Hopefully you can see what's going on here. Oh, which side is the camera on? Yeah. So this, here, let me raise the upper guide up. So when I loosen that, this whole thing is going like that, but that's changing the angle. That's doing a pivot like this, so that can't be right, because if I pull it back, now it's out of alignment. So I've got something wrong here. And this just seems to be this top piece. Maybe I need to get in. There's Allen's on there. Let's try getting into those. All right. You see what happens when we do that. Let me tighten these other ones back down first. So square that first. That one down a little bit. Nugget. I'll super tighten it later. Hey, that looks like that just is holding that on. You know, straight up, I may have to actually, just get the guide. Oh, that's right. Move this towards the front. Whoa. Nope, wrong way. And it fell off. Oh, we're doing this dance again, folks. This is what I get. Thinking I can do something. That's the problem. The clock wasn't on. Now I think I'm going to get anything done with the clock light off. You know? How I could neglect something as essential as the clock light, I have no idea. Here we are. Come on, come on. Well, there is just no room to get your hands in here. I mean, not that it's a big complaint, whatever. I got big meat hands, but the old one was definitely easier because you just had wide open access to the wheels. Okay. Tighten that back up. Not exactly sure how tight to make it. There's no, there's no tensioning gauge on the back of this thing. That is a weird noise. Okay, that's way towards the front of the wheel. Not touching anything there. Oh, popped off the front that time. But I did get it moving quietly, which is a plus. Oh, this might be just as frustrating as my old one. Maybe even more so. On the top wheel, bottom wheel, it's going through the guide bearings. Let's tension this sucker up. Or it is actually on the, yep. Rubbing down there on those bearings. So let's move it back a little bit. I mean, the first thing we need to do is make sure it's staying on the wheels. It's a little too far forward. So let's back a little bit. I'm a little bit twitchy here because when it pops off, boy, does it ever pop off. It makes you jump. Right. So that, tip the wheel that way. I mean, it's not plugged in or anything. Oh, yeah. See, that's how we ended up in that other mess. Feels a little too far forward to me. Like, I genuinely am unsure about which way this adjustment is making things go. So if we want the top of the wheel to come this way, I can't tell if that's indicating to me, you know what? I'm going to go grab the owner's manual. Planer. Planer, we need the bandsaw. I think I put it in there. Benchtop table saw. Dovetail jig. Here we go. Bandsaw. Adjusting the lower guide bearings. I'm just reading. Turn off and unplug the bandsaw. Use the heck wrench to loosen the socket head cap screw found underneath the table insert. That's the one on this side. Huh. Oh. I know what I'm doing wrong with that. It's not supposed to be pivoting. There's a slot there. Definitely need to get some long T-handles for this. We loosen that up. I am such a dummy. You know, sometimes you're just a dummy. Look at this. It doesn't go like this. If there's a long slot there, it just goes back and forth. Anyway, all right. Now that we get that squared away, upper and lower guide bearings. Belt tensioning, adjusting the belt tension, adjusting the upper blade guide, adjusting the upper guide bearings. No. We're supposed to test right here. Shouldn't move more than 1/8 of an inch. Oh, come on. It doesn't. It's got the adjusting the belt tension. It's got adjusting the blade guides and the guide bearings. Oh, here's the blade tracking. Adjusting the blade tracking. Loosen the tracking knob. Use one hand to grip the spokes and turn clockwise. Slowly turn the tracking knob while rotating until the blade tooth gullets are centered on the tire. It doesn't actually tell you which way. Let me show you this. It's confusing. All right. Here's my little diagram. Okay? Are those arrows indicating which direction that the blade is going to move on the wheel or which direction the wheel is going to tilt? I am not entirely sure. So the only way to do it is by trial and error and letting this thing bounce off occasionally. All right, now we're spinning freely. Now, the blade is not centered, it's too far forward. Let's give that a quarter turn. Oh, that moved it way backwards. So this moves it forward. Nope, that's moving it backwards. And it's off. Yep, it's off the tire. And I wish that diagram, I'm going to make a note on there after I get this sussed out, which way does which on this. But at least I've got the guides figured out. That's important. This is not the first time y'all have watched me struggle with a bandsaw. I'm just saying. Although hopefully this won't be as bad as the other one was. It would be easier if the blade tracking adjustment was more clearly marked. That's really my big complaint here. Then at least I would know which way to turn it instead of just like turning it blindly and hoping for the best. And there's just no room here. But I mean, it's a tiny little bandsaw. I really shouldn't complain about that. Okay. So on the tire, riding a little bit further back than I would like. Get the blade properly tensioned. Yeah, it's riding way too far back. So I'm going to turn it this way and see what that does. I think that brought it forward. So that way means forward on the, let's give this another little bit of a turn. Okay. So clockwise moves the blade forward on the wheels. See if I got something I can mark the back of this with. I wish I had a paint pen. I don't have a paint pen. At least not down here. I do, however, have a scribe. Forward. Back. Okay. Now at least I know which way I have to move it. It's tensioned. That shouldn't be more than 1/8 of an inch. A little too far forward, so we're going to adjust that back a little bit. Adjusting the tensioning can influence the tracking. All right, that's nice and snug. A little bit more. All right, now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. Whoop, that's a little too far. That way. Oh, we're off. Went too far. It's still on the wheel, but it's off the rubber. It's off the tire. Get that down enough to get that back. I can lift that back onto the tire. There we go. Okay, it's back on the tire. So it didn't pop all the way off that time. up, bit of a turn. A little bit more of a turn. If I had a flashlight for in here. I mean, I could turn this whole thing sideways, but then you wouldn't see anything at all of what I'm doing. I mean, you're probably getting glared out by the light as it is. Or, herder, you just bring over the other lamp. I mean, I don't use it much, so I don't always think to grab it. But at least now I can see a little bit better what I'm doing in here. A little bit better. Okay, now I can see. All right, so tension feels good. Now the gullet of the blade should be centered on the tire. More. A little bit more. Just going like an eighth of a turn here. A little bit at a time. Too far forward. Well, that, whoop, whoop. Come on. Pop off. Right forward. Tiny little snudges. Nudge. Nudge. Getting close. I think I need to go to my old method of plugging it in, kicking it on just for a few seconds, and then shutting it off again. Oh, fritter, that needs to be on for this to be on. All right, you need to go towards the back a little bit. Give it a tiny little. Blade to stop. Ooh, just a tiny bit more. Tiny little bit more. Wow, that crosses a threshold really quickly there. Wow. Okay. There is zero margin for error there. Yeah. Like I get it close and then I cross this little bit of a threshold and it just jumps towards the back. I think I'm going to leave it right there. The gullet is a little bit far forward, but I'm finding that when I try and hit that balance, it just is like jumping. Yep, there it goes. Far back. All right. It's stable. It's a little bit further forward than I would like, but it's stable. It's a lot further forward than I'd like. Yes, I'm going to keep screwing with this until I get it to where I'm happy. Further forward than I want. Okay, that's acceptable. Lock that in. Better. The blade is centered on the wheels. I'd like the gullet to be centered on the wheels, but it's a very thin blade, so we'll live with that. All right, so we've got it tensioned. We've got that done. Now we just need to set the guides. This is tricky to do without access to that light. Like if I could switch this on, it would be great, but then the thing's turned on. Is not so great with my hands down in there. Okay, that looks good right there. Ah! Bump the whole thing completely out of whack. Definitely fiddly. I mean, in all fairness, these are probably all fiddly. Oh, stay back there, stay square. Definitely need a 5mm and a 4mm T-handle hex. Before we want to lock these suckers back down. I think the thrust bearing could stand to be realigned as well. Wow, this is just a royal pain. I know, I'm not talking. This is just kind of fiddly. Times when things get fiddly, it's a little tricky to kind of keep up a running commentary. Okay, snug. That is snug. All right. My only concern here is moving that thrust bearing forward. I assume an Allen in there. Tighten, loosen. All right. And it should, yeah, that just goes back and forth. So we want to bring the thrust bearing forward a little bit. It's against the blade. All right. So now I think I have that all adjusted. Let's fire it up really quick. Well, we've got one thrust bearing making great contact and one not making hardly any contact. You know what? I'm going to leave it like that for now. Let's align these upper thrust bearings. That just slides forward. This is going to be a lot easier because it's just got these two little doomajiggy thingies here. Oh, what about the oh. I am going to have to read up on how to align the thrust bearing on this one. That's a little bit further forward than I did. All right. Interesting. All right. You know what? The proof of the pudding is in the tasting, right? If this sucker will cut wood. You know, this light being on the back of this machine is kind of ridiculous. It ought to be on the front of the machine. I think I need to fine tune that a little bit still, but in the meantime, Maple should provide me with a reasonably good test here. There's some nice tight corners and a much cleaner cut than that other blade was giving me. Let me just see what just a straight cut through will do. Oh, that is a much nicer cut than the factory saw blade was giving me. Much cleaner. Very happy with that. The thing I'm not happy with is this insert. In the back here, it actually sits a little bit below the level of the plate. So as I'm cutting, the far edge will hit that aluminum edge and it won't go. I have to lift it up. So I should see if there is not. There is no adjustment for this. So I may have to do my own thingy. Anyway, that was a long and rambling video. It looks like it's almost 50 minutes. So, but you know, that's what shop talks are. Or shop times are. Just hang out and do the thing. So I will see you all in the next video.